Yep. Good evening, everybody. I would like to call the Manlius Town Board meeting to order for April 9th, 2025 at roughly 6:30 p.m. As always, we are also running a Zoom so that people can join us remotely. And if you'd like to do that, you can find the instructions at the top of each of our agendas. We're also streaming to YouTube and to Facebook. Next up, I would like to ask Councilor Neshi to lead us in pledge of allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Committee from the podium plan? Okay. Is anyone here to share a comment on the podium? Show of hands. Anyone here in the audience via Zoom here for open podium? Okay. So if you want to go ahead and promote Mr. Greg here. So I was reached out to by Mr. Greg a couple months ago to have a conversation about a program that recently rolled out in Albany, which is a automatic traffic enforcement, so speeding camera program that they rolled out in their school zones. And it was wildly successful. And it was something that, after looking at it and understanding kind of the benefits and very minimal costs of the program, I know I've been talking to some of the counselors offline, so I figured I would have a little presentation. So, if there's questions, by all means, as we go through the presentation, but we're not. The goal isn't to spend 30 minutes on this, it's just to get a quick update so that we can kind of share with the public what we're looking at, and then if any folks have any questions, we can go from there. Sound good?
Sounds fantastic.
Okay, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Supervisor Deere. Good evening, Council. I appreciate you spending some time with me this evening. I guess I better start my presentation. Okay. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So, as Supervisor Deere said, my name is Ian Gregg. I represent Census Gatso USA. We are part of the Census Gatso group. We are one of the largest suppliers of automated enforcement technology globally. And tonight's topic, as he mentioned, is how Manlius could leverage that technology to make their school zones safer for pedestrians and cyclists. So I wanted to start out by talking about some of the dangers of speeding. A couple things happen when a vehicle goes faster. First, the driver's field of vision is reduced, making it more difficult to see and anticipate hazards in their periphery. And then the vehicle travels farther during the reaction and braking times. So you can see that between 20 and 40 miles an hour, that distance almost triples. So those two things together make an accident even more probable. And then, unfortunately, when a vehicle strikes a pedestrian or a cyclist, the risk of severe injury or death kind of goes up exponentially as the speed of the vehicle increases. So I just completed a speed study in a community nearby. It was a 3-day study from April 1st through the 3rd, just the hours of 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I think you can see from the data that I gathered of the 349 vehicles measured during that time, 95% of those vehicles were exceeding the speed limit. And then 47% of them were what we would consider at the violation speed, which is 11 miles an hour or more over the speed limit. This is a more graphical display. You can see that the green bars on the left are those who were traveling at or below the speed limit. I will say, frankly, that if you can see in the image, there's a traffic light down there. A large percentage of the vehicles in the green were actually just slowing down for the red light. So a considerable number of vehicles were speeding, and then a lot of vehicles traveling at a dangerous speed in a school zone. So it's fairly clear there's an issue here. So what can be done about it? Automated enforcement. There's been several studies done by the Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the IIHS, and they all find that these types of programs do reduce these violation speeders by upwards of 80%. We ourselves, we run a program in one of our programs is in Ohio. We just did a 1-year out study of the effects of the program on violations, and you could see that we measured an over 80% reduction in the violation rate just in the course of 1 school year. So the programs are very effective. So New York has enabling legislation that allows villages and towns to enact their own automated enforcement programs. It does require a local resolution to then trigger a home rule bill that needs to be passed by the legislature, signed by the governor. Then they can establish the program. The enforcement period is 1 hour before through the school day up to 1 hour after, and then also during student activities, half an hour before and after. So as I said earlier, a violation does occur at 11 miles per hour over the speed limit. So it's not a gotcha. It's not 2 miles an hour over or 3 miles an hour over. It's 11 over. So it's approaching a relatively unsafe speed. The fine is a $50 fine, and it is a civil penalty. So it's much like a parking ticket. There are no points on the driver's license. There's no insurance impact. It is assigned to the registered owner of the vehicle the same way a parking ticket would be. If the violator does not respond within 30 days of receiving a notice, they do incur an additional $25 penalty. The program does require a 30-day warning period once the cameras go live. This gives the community an opportunity to really, okay, these things are here and they are working. And most importantly, it is 100% violator funded. There is no upfront cost to the town whatsoever. We, the vendor, manage all of that. We do the engineering studies, the traffic studies, permitting on your behalf, etc. So there is no upfront cost at all. So I committed to not making this a sales presentation, but I did want to just include this because I think it's very important when selecting a vendor for this type of program that you really pick a true partner. It does require a real partnership between the vendor and the town. Both parties are vested in the overall long-term success of the project. That's really critical. So a little bit about the technology and how it works. So we use a Doppler radar mapping technology that allows us to track multiple targets and across many lanes of traffic. That is combined with a high resolution still camera and a 4K video camera to complete the evidence package. So the evidence package is typically 2 still images with a close-up of the license plate and then 15 seconds of 4K video. So when the violator views the evidence, it's relatively cut and dry. And again, it's not a gotcha. It's not 21 and a 20, it's 31 and a 20. We do use a time synchronization technique. Our system pings a world clock every 60 seconds to make sure that the internal clock is correct and it's enforcing at the proper times. And then we use a scheduling software to make sure that our enforcement times line up with the school calendar. Using the radar technology, we are able to capture concurrent and consecutive violations. So if 5 or 6 vehicles go through and they're all speeding, they will all be captured by the system. Here's an image of a typical event. Now, in the case that you do have multiple vehicles in the image, we use this traffic violation marker. It puts an X on the vehicle that is associated with the metadata at the top. So our evidence package is complete. You'll see there's 2 still images and 15 seconds of video up close of the license plate. So the package is complete and irrefutable. Our video also works for ALPR. If your town already has an ALPR system, we can stream our video directly into it, sort of expanding your current network. If you do not have a current network, we can provide a standalone system using our cameras. And if necessary, we can also provide ancillary cameras mounted on the same pole as the speed cameras, if that's what you prefer. And we do have a strategic partnership with Flock, so we can provide Flock cameras, we can provide access cameras. We're pretty flexible there. Now we want to make sure that the systems are up and running obviously as much as possible, accurately. So our home office is in the Boston area. And then, of course, as the supervisor mentioned, we do have a large project in Albany. So we have the local resources and expertise to make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to. So very quickly, how the process works. The first thing that happens is we call it an event because it's not a violation yet. Vehicle moves through the zone, it's speeding, we capture the images. That comes into our system. We have a team in Beverly, Massachusetts that reviews those. We start with business rules established by the local community. Do you want to see make, model, and color, or is make and model sufficient, etc. We contact NLETS on the town's behalf to get the registered owner information. We decide, okay, we think this is a solid violation. We send it over, then it goes to the local side. Now, this can be a police officer, it can be a city employee with some training. It does not have to be a sworn officer, but you must review the violations locally to make sure you agree that, yes, we agree this is a violation. So once that takes place, again, it comes back to us. We create a notice of violation and we send that out to the citizen. We can do specific forms, which I'll show you here in a little bit, based on your needs, how you want them to look, etc. So this is what the local review would look like. Again, the images, the video, you'll see that this is an actual violation, so the driver's information is redacted. But the person reviewing, it's a very quick process because we've done all the triage. They're just looking at it and saying, yes, okay, that's not a vehicle on a record, which is what we don't want to have. Here's an example of the mailings that go out. We send out a warning notice, in the first 30 days, notice of violation, late fee notice, and any court rulings if the citizen decides to challenge it, how it's adjudicated. And then once that is done, we send out that final notice. So our system is cloud-based, and it's also role-based permissions. So everything is stored in one place. All of the violations, all the video, everything is stored there. And then depending on your role is what it dictates what you get to see. So an important part of the law is you do have to report back to the governor every year the success of the program. So using our software, we have all these reports available. These are available anytime. You don't have to wait till the end of the year. If you want to look at it monthly, you certainly can. but then it does make the end of the year process a lot simpler. Also on that same portal, we can schedule hearing requests if the citizen would like to challenge the citation for whatever reason, the car was stolen, or if they want to assign the blame, sign an affidavit and assign the blame to someone else who was driving the vehicle, they can do that. And then also the courts can use this same portal once it's adjudicated, all that information is put into the system. And also, if the citizen wants to log in, they get a unique PIN number on their violation. They can log in, they can see their video, their images, etc., everything related to that violation, and they can also pay from there. So the timeline, it's about 22 weeks. Some of these, the numbers don't add up because some of these are going on concurrently, but we typically have a kickoff meeting. Then there's some development that has to take place. We create the business rules based on what the community wants. And we do some engineering and permitting. There is an asterisk on that one because we don't always have control of how long a permit takes. We have control on how long till we file it, but once it's filed, it's kind of out of our hands. And then of course there's that 30-day warning period. I will tell you, once we got permit approval in Albany, we had systems up and operating within 21 days. So we can move pretty fast. So this is probably the most important part of this. If this is a program that you decide you want to move forward with, it's really important to make sure that the community is aware what's happening, why it's happening, when it's going to start, et cetera. And we can help with that. If you have a public information office, we can work with them to create brochures, do social media posts, town halls, that kind of thing. It's really important for the citizens to understand, what it is and what you're doing. I think by and large, the local folks, once they see how the program is implemented and it's not a gotcha, you're not trying to trick anyone. You're really just trying to slow the traffic down. That's really the goal. People get that, once they have the correct information. So it's really important to get the messaging out there. And then of course, a program's success comes down to all of those things coming together at the same time. Hopefully I didn't take up too much of your time. I
appreciate it. Does anybody have any?
I have a question. Okay, so thanks, Ian. We appreciate that. My question is, did you just say about a minute and a half ago back that you're gonna a citation, a violation, a ticket will be issued to a registered owner, and then they would have to answer or assign blame to someone else? It essentially puts them at an inconvenience. Well, let me just let you answer. Did you say that?
Yeah. So if it's really the same as a parking ticket. If your 18-year-old takes your car downtown and parks in the loading zone and you get a ticket, you're responsible as the owner of the vehicle to pay the ticket.
But it's not the same. That's not a moving violation, especially one that's school zone.
Either. It is a civil fine. It's not a moving violation. There's no points on the license. There's no insurance impact like a moving violation would be.
It's not a speedy, that's the point. It's a civil fine.
But what is it deterring?
I'm confused on the same thing as speeding.
You said that was for the initial
big
notice.
violation.
He said that was for the initial notice, so are additional notices after that not going to be a civil penalty? Is it gonna be a moving?
Only the police can do it.
No,
Really then pass to them?
the initial the initial fine is 50. It's a civil fine. If they don't pay it, there's a late fee associated of $25, but it remains a civil fine.
And then if they don't pay that one late fee of $25, then what would happen?
Then you as a village have the right to turn that over to collections.
So theoretically, if there were an officer posted somewhere near a school zone, also ticketing people, this misguided driver could have a moving violation and traffic stop by an officer, as well as being billed by the camera system.
So that is one of the reasons for one of the challenges to the citation. You can go on and provide evidence that you got a ticket on the same day at the same time from a law enforcement officer, and then the camera fine is waived.
See.
So there's no double jeopardy there.
I have a couple questions. So one thing you said that if a person, so given that example, so say I got the ticket from the officer on the same day that I was speeding in the school zone, I have an opportunity for a hearing. A hearing before whom?
The magistrate, again, I'm not sure, many municipalities already have this mechanism in place for someone challenging a parking ticket, for example. It is the same type of thing. It's not a.
Okay, I was just trying to figure out who's getting the extra work, so it would come to our court. And then my other question has to do with your data storage. You have a picture of my car and my license plate. Where does that live? How long does it live there? Who is it shared with?
Okay, so it will be on our servers, which are cloud servers, and actually we keep them at NLETS, which is a highly secure facility. So they are stored there. And then per the business rules, again, what you establish would be how long we would keep those. The law does kind of dictate, I think it's 45 days after everything's adjudicated, they need to be destroyed. The data does belong to you. It's not our data. And we destroy it on whatever cadence is, determined in the business rules. It is the images and the violations are not subject to FOI requests, other than the violator obviously has access to their own images. Now the data, the reporting data is subject to freedom of information requests, how many violations, et cetera, but not specific violator information.
Any other questions?
Yeah, so you said you had a partnership with Flock cameras. What access do they have to your data exactly?
They don't have any access to our data. Our data goes one direction to them. If you have existing Flock.
No, we don't.
We do not.
What's that?
We don't.
Okay, so it would depend on, how you wanted to set up. You don't necessarily need to use Flock. We also have a relationship with a company called Axis. But again, the ALPR is sort of a standalone thing. None of the violations go into the ALPR system. The ALPR system is its own.
All right, so we don't have to participate with that at all.
No. No, it's just an option. It's there if it's something. A lot of communities already have ALPRs, and it's nice that, okay, every time we put up a pole, now they have an additional ARPL camera that essentially functions like the rest of them.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we'll move on to agenda item number 5, the TH Catella zone change application. Okay. So we previously had a public hearing for this, and I believe, let's see, so this board has reviewed the FEAF of the applicant dated 2/3/2025, and this board has answered all questions in part 2 of the EAF as no or small impact, and therefore issues this unlisted action as a negative seeker declaration for the project, where the action will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts. And again, as a reminder, this This is for the zone change of the area, not any of the actual things that will happen if this zone change is granted. Do I have any questions from anybody on that?
I do have one, and it's at the risk of sounding foolish, it's probably for attorney for that. So, on a short EAF, there's notices on page 2, and I'm aware the zone change is not an action other than the zone change. So for my edification to clarify that the note reads that there's for sections or questions 2 through 11 on the short EAF, the land use will not change by reason of the zone change. Understood. Any land use as a quarry will require further action by the Town Board, at which time EAF or environmental impacts will be further evaluated and mitigated as necessary. There is no current application pending for conversion of this land to quarry use. If I understand that note correctly, what we're saying, because we just went through and revised the permit for the rest of the land, and the purpose of this zone change is to add this new land. So we're going to revisit that permit with the new additional land
Correct.
shortly following this meeting.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
correct.
So there'll be a new
A new permit with a slight modification.
Yes.
And that is also too, where we talked about additional, looking at hydrology and things like that. That's where a lot of that conversation will inform.
So the new permit will have more. than-
Along with the other modifications we just made to the
Yes.
existing permit, which are all good practice. So thank you for.
Any questions? I don't know if there was any other action other than
No, just
considering the zone change.
that's correct. That's the only action. So the seeker would be first, which is what we just proposed, and then the resolution. The actual adoption of the resolution.
All right, so any other questions? So a motion to adopt the resolution attached here 2 for adoption of local law 2025-2. We actually get a number. The application of TH Kinsella Inc. for change of zone from restricted agricultural RA to natural resource renewable district and RDD.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries.
There we go.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you. So again, if you've been following along,
Come and see us again soon.
we'll be back here to have the conversations about the permit, and many of the comments that we had in the public hearing will be relevant for that permit.
While we're on the subject of secret.
Yeah, go for it, Scott.
Thank you. As you all know, we are planning a big project at the highway garage for some additions, and that also has a seeker connection to it. So we have received the short-term environmental, which is attached to the agenda for the seeker project, for the highway additions and renovation project. And at this point, I would like to make a motion to declare the town of Manlius as the lead agency under seeker and to designated the proposed action as an unlisted action, and it will also be a coordinated review. Right? Correct. Yeah. So we will be notifying the adjacent municipalities and other agencies as needed for that. So this information will be then shared with the appropriate other agencies to let them know we're doing this project. So that's how.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. What timeline do we think for that? Do we have to do all the notifications and then we'll have to do secret?
It's like a month, right?
Yeah, so once we get the letters out, and there's a 30-day period, we need to respond, and then after that.
Okay, so we're waiting for a little while.
We are gonna, just for everybody that's interested in this project, we are gonna have a full presentation at our next meeting on the 23rd. So there'll be much more information about the project at that meeting, but we can't take action until the 30 days have passed.
Okay, up next, same project, we're gonna set a date for a public hearing. This is to discuss the town highway department bond. This is one of those times where we don't need to, like, we don't have a legal requirement to do a public hearing. But it makes sense that to get this conversation going, so I would just look for a motion to set that date.
So I'll make a motion to set a date for a public hearing regarding the bond resolution for the Highway Department additions and renovation project for April 23rd, 2025 at 6:31 p.m.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, motion carries. And then, so next up, we do have a motion here to declare some tasers from the police department as surplus and authorize the sale, so if anybody would like to make that motion.
Sure, I'll make that motion to declare the 11 Taser X26Ps as surplus and authorize the sale of tasers to accredited security of Naples, Florida for a minimum amount of $1,600.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. So what I will say is, the next item on the agenda is really, really interesting if you're a huge municipal nerd. The town clerk and I have been kind of taking a look at every piece of technology we use, but one of the things we had talked about was DocuSign. I'm sure everyone's familiar with DocuSign, where you can do a digital signature. Not only to speed up the process, I have driven resolutions across town to other municipalities before. Given that our goal to live in the future,
More than 6 years ago.
hey.
Post-apocalyptic,
Hey.
I've been DocuSigning stuff since like 1999, man, come on.
But I think what we really found out, which I thought was really cool, is there's a lot of different ways that we can leverage this to not only save us time and automate things. So for example, we have certain processes where you'll go online, you'll fill out a PDF form, you print it out, you bring it to town hall, you mail it in. The DocuSign has workflows that allow you to kind of move through that process. And I think one of our first projects is gonna be a planning board application. Because as we're all aware, that is a very complicated process. It involves notifying multiple people, getting things back, getting them reviewed. And this will help us manage all of those pieces and ideally automate them so that we are saving time here at town hall. We were floored when we were told the price. I thought it was gonna be significantly more, so it was something that I wasn't necessarily sold on yet. But the fact that we're able to do this for, I think it's just over $5,000, that comes with 5 licenses. So that means, and licenses are more for admin level users, people who can create forms, create workflows, those types of things, grant permission. Likely we would have a license or 2 in the clerk's office, probably a license in planning, perhaps, and then we'll have a couple extra. And then the idea is to have Duffy kind of organize some of these things and hopefully become kind of a workflow expert, so that as we find new things that we can use this tool for, we'll be able to get those stood up. And I think one of the things that I think is really valuable about this is it's one thing to have a policy written down, it's one thing to have a procedure in place that kind of goes through everything. When we automate it, we're also creating additional documentation to.
That you did.
Yeah.
And also you can't get a G if you haven't gone at first.
Yes, and a lot of this is because we're missing this piece of paperwork or this form, and so it won't actually let you go through. And we're hopeful, we've had some conversations with DocuSign about online payments. So that is not an immediate benefit, but that is something that we're gonna be looking at. So that we can take in all of those fees digitally. And I think a large part of it too is, we kind of talk, in the back offices about, every time somebody can go to the website, take care of something on their own, that means they're not stopping in, they're not stopping at they're not interrupting whatever other work is being done. So, I know every tax season I get questions about why can't I, pay my taxes by ACH, things like that, which we are looking at. But I think anytime that we can do this type of thing, and obviously this has relevant uses in the assessment department, tax department, so we have a motion, but obviously if everybody wants to take some time to review this, we don't have to consider this tonight, but are there any questions for me or Carrie?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I just think for this sort of reasonable price, I feel confident we would get sufficient utilization out of it. But there may be additional features that we are not even looking for.
I was curious if you've heard feedback from town hall staff, if they were.
So I can speak for just my clerks, and they're pretty excited about it. It's going to help streamline some of our processes. Like right now, online, you can do a dog renewal online, that's all you can do, but the dog's rabies shots have to be up to date. We have people come in all the time saying, oh, I wish I could just renew it or register my dog online from the get-go, but they can't because we have no way of them uploading rabies vaccinations or taking the payment right now. With DocuSign, we'll be able to do that. We'll be able to help them through a marriage license. We get it all the time for building permits.
Can you auto renew in DocuSign?
What do you mean, I'm sorry?
So when your dog license expires, can you auto renew?
Not at this time because of the payment. We're not doing the online payment with DocuSign yet, but we can make it to where with DocuSign, before they even submit the renewal application, they have to upload the rabies vaccination. So that way they can't just submit it and now we gotta call them. Everything has to be there in order for them to be able to submit it.
And so, I apologize if I missed this detail,
No, you're
but what, so 2,500 uses, I guess, or what would be considered is, I'm envisioning, you know, a complex submission to a complex site plan and it's 500 pages of information. Is that 500 pages different
So generally
than
speaking-
one-page rabies vaccine?
Many of the uses that you're seeing there are for like complicated workflows, but in the normal of just signing documentation, that's essentially unlimited. So,
Okay.
for example, like one of the things we're, again, sad to say, excited about is when we put together the agenda to upload the contract into DocuSign at that point, then, you know, whether it's, you know, the next day, Carrie could hit, it was approved by the board, and then it gets emailed to me, and then the other relevant party, we both sign it, and then we have the document, you know, and ideally that's happening within the day, and also it has a contract manager.
I was just gonna bring that up.
So it's, you know, as we do these things, we will say this expires on this date. So that way we're not searching through different drives for it or different folders, but also it'll give us a notification. So much like where we were with the trash contract last year, it'll be giving us a notification of, hey, this is gonna expire in 90 days, you need to take action. And then the goal is to have it so that the things that the board are doing are all in there through DocuSign and signed by DocuSign. So, you know, for other things too, like the pro-housing community, we had a small glitch there. This is exactly to address kind of the things that can fall through the cracks. And
So I've used it, I mean, I use it in my day job for contracts and things, and it functions a lot like that. But that's why I asked my question about what constitutes a
'Cause you might
use,
get
because there's a
25
lot of
right
back and
away.
forth. It might take, you know, 15 interactions before the contract is considered signed and validated
and
by
that
both
whole
parties.
process would be one use.
Thank you, that's my question.
Yeah,
And then
I
I
think,
go to attorney for review, you
Yep.
know.
and I think it's 2,500 per user.
Per user per year, yeah.
Per year, so if
Five
I'm a
times that.
user and you're a user, you get 2,500 and I get 2,500 throughout the year. I believe that,
Yep,
if
that
I remember
2,500 is,
correctly.
I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
So come November, you give it to somebody else to do so you don't go over it.
basically.
And really close that.
That's where Lisa and I kind of bounce it back and forth.
So I also use
Per user
DocuSign
stuff.
every day in my job, and I spent probably 3 hours on it today, like assembling packets of paperwork and sending them to clients. My experience with DocuSign is that it's much like a calculator, it's easy to mess up. If you forget to tag a signature, and then, well, for me, it goes to my broker dealer and then it bounces back and I gotta go back to the client, and so it does streamline things, but it also, like, it's only as good as the information you're putting into it, like making sure it's like assigned to the right person. And for me, and this is just a technical question more than anything else, like my clients can't upload anything, like they get what I send them, they can't fill anything out, they sign it and that's all they're able to do. So it works also in a way where there would be some type of requirement that they upload a document, otherwise it won't allow them to proceed.
Correct.
Interesting.
So we can build out our own forms. So basically what we would do is take, and I'm just using the dog license. John and I have talked, it's, you know, go small versus in that home run right out the gate. So if we were to do the dog license, I would just mimic our paper copy that we have right now and put it in there, and in different sections, you have the ability to put a button that says upload rabies vaccination here. And you can make that a requirement And they can't go past that until that requirement is complete.
Okay, no, that's great then, yeah, this would save a lot of people a lot of time, both in-house and for our residents, like people are used to this thing now.
And it would help too for the people come in with handicap tags. They wouldn't necessarily have to now come in to get that first handicap tag. They would be able to submit the doctor's note, fill out the information, and then we could mail it out to them. You know, so if you're doing it for, you know, your father or something and you're working and you just can't come in, but it's gotta get done, now you can just go online and you can do it and upload the license and the doctor's note, and then we can process it and mail it out.
It is definitely not a cure-all. It has made getting signatures easier, but it has made gathering information more difficult. Like when I would call a client on the phone and I could just ask them like, what's your social security number, birthday, all these things. It makes it more cumbersome, and then if there's a mistake, it's like in like this, that I can't just white it out anymore. Sometimes I miss the old days, I do, like I really do, because it can be more challenging to, like you get to a point where you can't correct it, it's stuck there, and you have to start up, like this is bullshit, like it does get really frustrating. So I think that there should be some preparation for being now technical support.
Right.
Because clients will call, whereas before, they wouldn't have had to do that. And I'm trying to upload this and it's not working, like it won't fix everything, it'll create a new set of problems. I think overall it will be helpful, I absolutely support it and think we should do it, but it does open a new can of worms.
And that's where we only have the 5 licenses, so it's not like every employee is gonna have to learn how to do this, and it's likely gonna focus, you know, through Carrie's office, through Lisa, and then Duffy as much as possible. So that, you know, and ideally too, you know, even, you know, the one-off contracts are one thing when you just have to tell like where to sign.
Right.
But for those bigger forms, like that's where we can really make sure we're building it in and then doing a significant amount of testing.
And starting with something simple.
Right.
Good.
Yeah, absolutely.
The developers will probably be fine, because they've probably been using this for other contracts with their attorneys and everything else, like I don't think this is new to them. But I could see a resident trying to get a handicap tag or a dog license being unfamiliar with it, and now
If they're
they're.
getting a loan through their credit union, they're using this too, because they can tell you, like, at least 3 credit unions in the town send you DocuSign docs, before you close in person.
I just switched broker dealers in the fall, every single one of my clients got a DocuSign, and I cannot tell you how many conversations I had to have about what it was. So I foresee that would happen quite a bit, especially with older folks.
Yeah.
And it's just like anything else, we just gotta communicate it, you
And we'll
know.
have the in-person option.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, we're
Okay.
definitely not getting rid of it.
I
I
like
just
that, then.
clarified
If there's an
because
in-person option, then that's great.
I heard 2 things when it comes down to the 2,500. It's 5 times 500 for the 2,500. It's not
Is that-
2,500 per 5. Like each
Oh, okay.
Okay.
each one of the 5 doesn't get 2,500. They
Okay.
get 500. That's the way it reads on here.
Okay, I wasn't sure how it read, that's why I said I
Yeah.
thought that it was per, but
Yeah, no, so
you're
it's-
reading it that way, then yes, it's
Yeah,
500.
It says a quantity of 5 users, and then it says 500 one time per user. And then they give you a total quantity of 2,500.
Yeah.
Included in the package.
And they have other options, like if we need more uses, or
You
if
can
we need
add.
more users, and one of the really nice things is what we were able to do is they can kind of like lock this pricing in for a little bit. So it's not like it's gonna, you know, there'll be a small increase next year, but it's not meant to accelerate very quickly, so.
And you did say that if we decide we like it this time around, you know, we do it for a year, it's working, we wanna continue with it, then next year it will go up that little increase, and we lock that little increase in for 3 years if we sign a 3-year contract with them. So there is that option, but obviously I don't think we wanna go that far out with a contract with them until we know if it's actually gonna work and do what we're hoping that it does.
There's always that option, it doesn't really get used that much, you know, I mean,
Right.
I actually just removed a function like this from my agency database because no one was using it. The public wasn't submitting, they still wanted to do it in person, shake a hand, whatever. But we have the option to not.
It will help on some stuff too, like they require all of our signatures, so that'll be another way of getting that stuff done, so it's, and again, you know, this is it's a little bit of a pilot, we're gonna see if it works, if we realize value, then great, and if we didn't, then we tried something and it didn't work out, it was only 500.
And it will help with W-9s.
Yes, and so like, this is the kind of thing of, it's, you know, we're not getting this to solve a particular problem, we're getting this, it's a really valuable tool that could likely be leveraged by many people. Any other questions?
I think it sounds great,
And you don't need to make a motion tonight, but if we're comfortable doing it, that wouldn't.
I would be fine if there's anyone else on, okay?
I just read the minutes. so I'm good with it.
All right, if everyone's comfortable, I'd like to make a motion to,
So, we do have one question before we vote.
go ahead, go.
Where will we fund this from?
This is out of the
IT line?
we have, yeah, it's
That's
covered.
a great question. Anything else?
We have a great council.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the contract with DocuSign for 5 users in the amount of $5,001.74, subject to final legal approval.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, so do you wanna talk a little bit about the scanning stuff?
Sure. So after we, Tom was gracious enough to give us $5,000 for the scanning. I had spoken with our rep from Avalon and there was some miscommunication. He did not realize they still had, I think it was like 16 boxes, to scan from the last, I'll say trip that he made, the last batch that he took. With that, they had already added the $5,000 in to the budget, or into the invoice, the retainer, not realizing that that was gonna bring us with those 16 boxes down to like $185. And at that point, he had already came and got the 34 boxes. And instead of asking him to bring back the 34 boxes, I looked around in my budget at some of the encumbrances that I had done from last year to this year, and was able to find the money to pay the additional to have those 34 boxes scanned versus him bringing them back. He did originally come in a lot higher than the 10,005. When I told him that there was just no way I couldn't swing that, he worked with me and brought it down just over half of what he was originally asking. So they did work with us, knowing that it was an error on their end, worked with us to ensure that we could still get that part of the project completed.
And we would have agreed to do it anyway.
What's that?
It's part of the project anyway, we wanted it all done
Right.
anyway.
What was their error?
So
Yeah, this is-
when we had told him, hey, we're looking to add $5,000 on that, how much do we have left? He put it in the retainer, the $5,000 to add it. The other, whether it was his billing department or whatnot, they did not deduct that month's out of there.
From the 16 bucks.
From the 16 boxes. So it looked like we had $10,000, but we did not. We were coming close, so then they scanned the 16 boxes and took it out of that additional 5,000 that we had gotten from Tom, and it brought us down to like $185 being left. But in the meantime, they had already came and picked up 30 boxes, thinking that they would be able to do that with the 10,000 that he thought we had.
So this is what Carrie, you tell us, right? I'll try. This is what I think. So
I feel like
they
it's
kind of
like a
double counted the
riddle.
5, thought we had $10,000 worth of credit. We didn't have, because they had an accounting error or something, Avalon. But we didn't. So when they actually corrected the error, we had only a balance of 180, did you say 185? $185 left, which wasn't enough for the additional 16 boxes or 34?
No, 34 boxes.
34 boxes. So the additional 34 boxes, they quoted well over 10.5, right? You said, and
Yeah,
Carrie negotiated with them, like, they made a mistake, it was their accounting mistake, therefore we couldn't properly budget when we passed the money to go there. And so now it's gonna cost us more, what can you do to help us out, being that we need to get these 34 boxes scanned in.
And we thought we were in better shape than we were.
right.
And so basically, this is like a really, it's, in a lot of ways, this is kind of like the end of this phase of the scanning project,
Yes.
right? I think it's everything in planning,
Yeah.
all the way back.
Yeah, at this point, we have everything, all the building permits and a lot of the large building plans with the big huge maps and all that. We have that all the way up to high 1990s, all the way down to 1920s scanned.
So
the
we
little-
got the most vulnerable, fragile ones
Yes.
done first.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'll
it-
say, like, meeting with the clerk today, the clerks are not sitting in a jungle of boxes anymore. And I'm just looking around Carrie's office going, why is it so bare in here?
Because I don't have a wall full of boxes.
You know, it's a safety thing, it's a quality work life thing, that they're not, entrapped in boxes anymore.
Well, and I
Want
was,
all that information
Yeah.
being secure and not,
Safer.
if there was a fire or something, it'd be gone.
Right, and that's not to say we don't have a lot still to do.
Yeah.
But with the money that you guys had given towards the project, earlier or late last year, and what Tom has given and what I'm asking for now, we made a huge dent in what needs to be done. There is a lot more that needs to be done. I did apply for the grant through New York State Archiving. I'll be honest, I don't think I'll get it. It's very difficult to get that grant, but I attempted it. I tried. We'll see if they come back with it.
and I think too, at this point, we've scanned the stuff, or we're about to scan the stuff that we know we have to scan. Like, it makes sense, it is helpful information to have all the way back. There are boxes of supervisor's reports from the 80s. So like, we can have a conversation about what needs to be scanned, exactly.
And then we can hire a shredder.
7 years back.
I think a lot of those we can get rid of. We don't have to keep those for 6 years.
Yes.
Lisa and I are planning some time to go down there and, push, get another shredding thing ready to go. So those will absolutely
There
go.
will be another opportunity where we're talking, probably at $30,000 or $40,000 for more scanning. But we'll know what we're scanning, we'll have a good reason to scan it, and then,
And you're only asking us to take money that you already have in the budget and move it over to this anyway, so we're not.
Yes.
yeah, you'll notice we put the budget transfer first and then the adoption, just like town clerk wants us to.
All right, well, I think we're good then, right?
Cool.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget transfer in the amount of $6,000 from A005.1410.402 town clerk seminars and conferences to A005.1460.400 records management contractual.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, approved.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget transfer in the amount of $4,500 from A0051.1410.100 town clerk personnel to A005.1460.400 records management contractual.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
Motion
then
approved.
finally, I'd like to make a motion to authorize Mr. Supervisor John Deere to sign the invoice from Avalon for additional retainer in the amount of $10,500, subject to final legal approval.
Also like to second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That is approved.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
You
thank
are welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, or both. Let
Uh,
me know when you wanna start shredding, because I will come help do that.
Oh, no, we got the money set aside for that.
It's so satisfying.
So I did, just kind of before we roll into the end of the meeting, I want to give an opportunity for announcements, and I do have an announcement. We were informed about letters from Solar Simplified going out, with zeros on them. And so we emailed our rep over there. They have informed us that it was a mistake. And did their due diligence. The person who had sent us the picture of the letter, they even went in, checked their account. That person has been receiving monthly statements, so this is purely an error. I did not read far enough into the email to see what the remediation is, but I
New
know.
letters are going out,
Perfect. So
so that will be.
just
for-
wanted to make sure we said that in the meeting.
There were a lot of confused people.
Absolutely.
So these were summary letters that went out to everybody participating in the program, because I haven't gotten one yet, but I have reviewed my bills, have seen a nominal.
Looks just like this.
Okay, yeah, I haven't gotten one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and it says zero.
You said, and I'm in this program, I have not gotten a monthly statement.
So I followed up in the email to Sasha from Solar Simplified, asking about my parents, because they signed up for the program and my father has not seen anything. So when I hear back from him on them, I'll let you know. And then, because they'll be a good example.
They didn't have gotten monthly statements either about it, they got the letter saying zero, but too.
Yeah,
I think there's a good chance the monthly statements may be digital or something.
Yeah, I think they're
Log in and get them, but we'll confirm with Sasha.
and the monthly statement is one thing. If you've subscribed, you should be seeing it on your National Grid bill. If you're not seeing it on your National Grid bill, then you should let us know. The monthly statement's one thing, but National Grid is where,
That's where it
that's where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
What should you see on the national grid?
You
bill?
should see it should be itemized where you see,
It's like alternate provider or something.
yes, it'll say something and then you'll see like this, like parentheses down amount that reduces your bill by 10%. It should be pretty clear if you're looking at your.
On my utility bill, there's no reference to the company, there's no reference to
Doesn't say
Simplified,
company,
it's
no.
just, there's this nominal little
Yes,
notation that there's, this much is coming from an alternate source.
It's on that new version of the bill where like there's half a page on the front with like a pie chart and then on the back is the more detailed information.
like that's your usage
And
compared to your neighbors.
I've seen it, I just think for anybody who watches this or who's got a vested interest that we're just.
I'm glad you got communication from Solar Simplified, because I mean, all I have is my anecdotal information, that, no, it's serious, I have seen some savings.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad to hear
When
that.
we saw it, just like, there was no way that they meant to send this out, and so I was just very.
And it was like, congratulations, you've saved $0. I was like, oh, you're very enthusiastic.
So I gotta say too,
about that.
I don't know if anybody's had recently National Grid show up in the last year, they changed the meter. They changed my meter last year and my bills went up, like the 10%.
Oh, we're being charged for those smart meters without a doubt.
The smart meters were supposed
Up
to,
like, they're telling me I'm
Be
90%
better.
higher than I've been in the past 3 years, and I have less people living in my house now, I don't understand how it's possible.
have you called National Grid? What they say?
So,
I mean, it's in terms of, like, the smart meters were supposed to be more efficient at tracking your energy usage, like your fridge.
Yeah.
How much is your fridge using? So it wasn't supposed to change your bill, it was just supposed to more intelligently calculate your usage shouldn't have changed. Did you see your usage increase?
We think it's all right.
But it's still relevant, it's relevant to the discussion.
Just for one, because and the reason I bring it up is because I think if you signed up for Solar Simplified, they're not noticing, like, they're getting 10% off of a higher bill now, so they're still paying more than they were paying when they signed up, and that's why I just bring it up in the public meeting, just to make mention of that.
that's great, and then, we don't have it here on the agenda, but we do, have to go into executive session, for personnel, matters.
Should we make these other motions?
Yeah, I was
I
just,
think there's another.
yes. Announcements, anything?
Fish stock, isn't it?
Oh, it's for shock. Sorry, I got so engulfed in the Solar Simplified National Grid conversation. Fish Dock is next week, April 16th at Green Lakes from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Please attend.
Can you just give a brief description of what fish stock is for those who don't?
It's a lovely event put on by our recreation department in partnership with Green Lakes State Park, New York State Parks, New York State Parks and the Village Recreation Departments as well, and I'm probably forgetting an
I think it's Partridge Brook, the county does something to save it.
and county parks as well. And it is where you get to restock the Green Lakes with fish. Children get to come there and they get a little fish in a bucket and they go over to the lake and they dump the fish in. It's called Fish Stock because they're literally restocking fish into the lake.
I thought it was fish stock because of all the tie dyes, and it was like Woodstock.
Right, well, they do play off of that a little bit
Is there any music?
sometimes.
It's like,
It is like
it's
fish
fish
Yes.
I have one announcement. So, who's the liaison to the village of Manlius?
Me.
Okay, so I'm gonna steal a little bit, and I wanna congratulate the village of Manlius. What's exciting for me that you guys keep hearing me talk about over the next 2 days, but that they brought a new business in, and it's from my former hometown in the Utica area, but Howland Farms, I think you're all gonna enjoy when they open in 2 months, but congratulations to the village for filling, the void that was left by coal, and, I think.
Wait, what's opening in it?
Howland Farms Bakery and Coffee,
Oh, nice,
yeah,
cool.
they're really, really good. There's some really good.
They're very good.
Can we also congratulate newly sworn in Mayor Hank Chapman, if we're talking about the village governance, and the trustees and the judge that were.
Well, I'd like to say that Councilor Italiano and I attended a village board meeting last night, and one of the first things that the new mayor did at his first meeting was he changed up the structure of the meeting, so the
Yes.
public comment period is first.
Oh.
So he has
great.
Specifically, so people who are there for a public forum don't have to stay throughout the whole entire meeting if they don't need to.
He also moved it back to having 2 meetings a month instead of just one, so that business can be streamlined and more efficient and more consistent, which I think is great.
excited.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up would be the supervisor's report.
So I make a motion to, oh, I lost my motion, to approve the supervisor's report, I think that's all it says, for March 2025 as presented by the town clerk.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. So, okay, motion carries. Yep.
We have to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from March 26, 2025. There's only 4 of us there, so there's not many of us that can.
Okay, so all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Abstain is.
Abstain.
Motion carries.
Oh, wait,
Folks who were ill.
I abstained also, I was not there, I was yeah.
And then I'd like to make a motion to approve abstract number 7 in the amount of $493,073 even. And the winner is we bought the water tank for Skyridge.
Nice, my goodness, that's been a long time coming.
Yep.
We just had a recent meeting and it's been moving along.
That's great, good for them.
Got a motion, second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
At least one of us is paid. But that's
So
great.
just anything else before we go to executive session? I just need a motion to enter executive session for, discussion of personnel.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Have a wonderful evening, everybody.
Thank you for coming.
Feel free to stick around.
Ingrid, someone's gonna give you a call.
Hey, Sarah.